Hi everybody, I'm Zilla Blitz and welcome back as we continue our quest for women's suffrage in the United States as we drive on with our full playthrough of Votes for Women from Fort Circle Games and designed by Tory Brown. In our first episode, we got off to a pretty good start in the Northeast region, but we're taking a beating in the South and Atlantic regions. We're going to play turns 2 and 3 today, hoping we could make more progress. Let's jump right in and get started. Just as a quick recap from our first turn, the Northeast looks pretty good. We've neutralized all the anti-suffrage opposition and we've got 4 support cubes in New York and in New Jersey. In the Midwest, we've done pretty well. We've taken out a good bit of the anti-suffrage movement, and we've got a little bit of support in Illinois. The Atlantic and South, again, not looking very good. Montana and South Dakota not looking very good out in the Plain States. In the West, largely an untested battleground so far. Also of note, we have 0 congressional support yet. Again, we need to get 6 white cylinders in here worth of support in order to be able to send the 19th Amendment to the states for ratification. Let's take a quick look at the state cards still in play, because that's going to determine, I think, a lot of our strategy in these next couple of turns. Now, in turn 1, we got New Jersey and New York and picked up those states, but a lot of our efforts now, I think, in turn 2 and 3 are going to be concentrating on trying to get these states cards. I'd love to be able to pick up Texas and Ohio, Texas and Illinois, and that allows us to add 6 blocks in the South region or in the Midwest region, no more than 2 per state, because if we can get these, I think we can leverage those into perhaps getting Georgia and Ohio. Likewise, Utah, the same strategy. Utah will allow us to place blocks in California, and Montana, we'll see how that goes. I mean, we'll try for it, but again, our goal is to try to get 7 of the 9 states, and we've got 2 of them so far. With all that being said, I think that's time now to get started on turn 2. Turn 2 starts out with the planning phase. Now we have 1 card left over from the previous turn, Union Victory, which we can only play for the event if the Civil War is in effect. So we're holding on to that one for that reason. We're going to deal 6 new cards from the suffragist deck, and let's see what we get. So we have some interesting cards here now. 15th Amendment, which of course gave voting rights to black men in the United States. On a roll of 3 to 6, we add 2 support in Congress and 8 cubes anywhere, no more than 2 per state. That's a nice one to play. We can only play that if the Civil War is not in effect, and it isn't yet, so that's good, but it may be coming up. Down here we also have Reconstruction, playable if the Civil War is not in effect and the 15th Amendment is in effect. This adds 1 cube to all of these states. So we have a path forward here, I think, for some pretty strong plays. It would be nice to get a button so we could re-roll this one if we have to, however. Some other ones we'll kind of talk about as we get going, but these are the 7 cards that we'll be working with. I like what we might be able to do with some of this, though. So with that in mind, let's go now to the strategy phase. Now the strategy phase doesn't happen in turn 1, it starts with turn 2, and this is where we're going to bid on one of these 3 cards. And the higher bidder gets the card and can play it as part of their turn. If the Autobot gets it, it plays it right away. This is the one I'd like to concentrate on, national focus. So even as campaigners take action at the state level, they must maintain a national focus that surveys the cause and effect of each win and loss. Add 2 cubes, support cubes, in 1 state of each region. What I'd like to do is to get this one played in combination with some other card in the first turn, which would then allow us to perhaps get Utah, Illinois, and be a good way along to the way of Texas, part of our obtaining all the states strategy. Now, how this works in single player is we bid a certain number of buttons, and then we roll the 12-sided die that has the numbers 1 to 4 on it, evenly balanced. And so we are going to bid 4 buttons. That gives us a 75% chance of getting this. However, if the Autobot rolls a 4, it's a tie, we lose our buttons, and nobody gets a thing. So as part of our big strategy, we're kind of hoping for a 1 to 3 here. A 2, excellent. So we can claim the national focus card. It costs us those 4 buttons, but we're now going to add this beside our hand here. And before we leave, we now have to add another card to the potential mix for next turn. Playable if it's turn 5 or turn 6, Eye on the Future. Looking through your draw deck and select 1 card for its play at its event immediately. Then reshuffle your draw deck. I like that one. But that's playable for turn 5 or turn 6, so these are the next 2 that we'll be looking at for next turn. But now we go to our turn, the operations phase of the turn, and we start out, as the suffragist, we go first. Let us get started now doing battle with the forces of darkness and despair. We're going to play our card. I was originally thinking we could play the 15th Amendment here, but if we miss this roll, we roll 1 die, a 6-sided die, And if we roll a 1 or a 2, we can't play this. This amendment doesn't happen. So, and we don't have any buttons. A button can be spent to redo a roll. So I don't want to risk it when we don't have any buttons. Instead, we're going to play Susan B. Anthony indicted. We're going to receive a button, which is going to help. And we add 1 support cube in 1 state of each region. So let's get started. So let's concentrate on these card states, the states that we want to try to get. We'll go Utah in the west. Let's knock off a support in Montana. We will not concede Montana. In the Midwest, let's keep going for Illinois. That's our 3rd cube. Down south, we'll go for Texas. That will be our 4th cube. 5th cube, let's just take away some support from Delaware for anti-suffrage. And then 6th cube, let's go for a block in Connecticut. Excellent. Now we're not quite done yet, because in addition to our regular turn card, we can also play that National Focus card. This is where our power move comes in. We can add 2 support cubes in 1 state of each region. This is a powerful card, 12 support cubes. So let's get busy adding these in and see what kind of damage we can do. Alrighty, we'll start out west, and you know where we're going, right? Let's go right to Utah. That gives us 4 cubes in Utah, which is nice because boom, we get the Utah card. Now we can't play it right away because we can only play 1 extra card per round, but we will put it in our bank of cards, perhaps playing it next turn. Let's add 2 to Montana. So we'll take away the 1 anti-suffrage support and we'll put in a purple cube there. Let's go to Illinois, which we will do the same thing. We're going to put our 2 cubes right in Illinois, which gives us 4 cubes in Illinois. So boom, we can add Illinois to our arsenal of state cards. That gives us 4 out of 4 so far. We are not done yet though. Let's go down to Texas, add 2 there. We are 1 short. We just have 3 support in Texas. Now we can go into the Atlantic region. Let's add 2 to Maryland, which will get rid of the 1 that's there and add a yellow one for us. And then let's go up to New England. We will add 2. Let's go to Rhode Island and we'll put 2 in there. So a nice powerful turn for us. We've picked up 2 state cards, changed the landscape in a bunch of places, and almost got Texas down here. Let's go to the Autobots' turn now. I don't know the card deck so well, but I think one of the Autobot cards is the Civil War, so I'm hoping it doesn't come up too early. New York newspapers. In the late 19th century, many journalists and editors mocked the very idea of women's suffrage, covering the issue with disdain or disinterest. Placed 2 anti-suffrage cubes in each of New York and New Jersey. Just when we thought New England was looking pretty good. Now, by rule, we could take 1 color of each, but it's to the Autobots' advantage to clear out 1 type of color. So we're going to play a little bit of an Autobot strong way. We're going to take 2 purple out of New Jersey. We're going to take 2 gold out of New York. That will make it, that's a stronger play for the Autobot than splitting them. So the Autobot's done. Not too bad there. Let's go back to our 2nd round turn now. Now the question is, do we play the 15th Amendment now knowing that we only have 1 button to reroll, or do we play this Union Signal card, which is basically the same thing as the Susan B. Anthony card, to receive another button and add 1 in 1 state of each region? And I think we're going to do this one and then try to play the 15th Amendment next turn. Hopefully that will work out. Let's see how this goes. So the Union Signal card, magazines written by and for women, like the temperance-driven The Union Signal, had great reach and helped bring more activists into the movement. Let's play 1 cube in 1 state of each region, and this will actually trigger some happy events here too. California is the next state with a card out west. We want to try for that one. We are going to add support to Montana because we're getting closer there. We've got 2 now. Big move down here in Texas. We're going to play our 4th cube for Texas, which immediately triggers the Texas card, which is, and that actually gives it to us. I think we might play this one right away, but let's finish this up here next. We want the other card that's available to us up here is in Ohio, so we'll play 1 there. Down in Atlantic and Appalachia, we're going to concede Kentucky, but let's see if we can win Virginia. We're going to knock off support for Virginia instead of playing 1 there. And let's go back up to New England. We will add a purple cube to Maine. Now we can play one of our other cards, and I think, let me think about it for a second. We have 3 state cards we can play. The question is whether we want to try to go for Georgia or not in Texas, or whether we trying to get Ohio or California and play these cards there. I think we're going to be a little bit bold, and we're actually going to try for Georgia. So we're going to play the Texas card as part of our turn. We can always play one additional card. Add 6 support cubes in the South region, no more than 2 per state. So let's take care of that. All right, so let's fight for Georgia now. We will not concede the Peach State. So we'll take 2 support off of Georgia for adding 2 there. And then let's add 2, let's add 1 to LA, 1 to Louisiana, and then Arkansas. And then we'll add 1 more in each to Louisiana and Arkansas. So just giving us a little bit of support there, and that takes care of the Texas card. Let's see what the Autobot has in store. Senator Joseph Brown. Play if there is at least 1 support, congressional support in Congress, remove 1 from Congress and add 2 to Georgia. But there is no congressional support, which means that the Autobot is going to go campaigning. So we're going to randomly roll to determine which state the campaigner moves to. Region 1. Okay, it's not ideal, but it's not too bad. So he moves from the Atlantic to the West. And by rule, we're going to add cubes to a state card if it's available. California is available, so we'll roll the 12-sided die to determine whether it's 1 to 4 cubes. Now we got 2 and 3 and 4. Let's get a nice 1 here. 3. That's not very good. California, we're at risk of losing it. So we take away the 1 there and add 2, giving California 2 Autobot support. Not ideal. We'll still fight for it though. So that is the Autobot's turn. Let's go to our turn now. Alrighty, our path is clear now because we picked up an additional button in the last turn. We have 2 buttons. Let's play the 15th Amendment. Playable if the Civil War is not in effect, roll a 6-sided die. On a roll of 3 to 6, add 2 congressional support in Congress and 8 cubes anywhere, no more than 2 per state. This is a big roll. Let's get it on the first time. We need a 3, 4, 5, or 6. A 1. Okay, we are going to spend a button to try to re-roll this. Let's get it 3, 4, 5, or 6. 6. Excellent. Okay, so the 15th Amendment is in effect. We're going to put this in the board here. Now, we haven't talked about this yet, but we have 3 cards, locations here, in effect for the rest of the turn, in effect for the rest of the game, in effect for final voting. And we can see this little infinity mark here. That matches the mark right here. So this is in effect for the rest of the game. So we add 2 congressional support to Congress. Let's do that. So that is a big step forward for Congress. And now we get to add 8 cubes anywhere, no more than 2 per state. Oh, this is nice. We can add 8 cubes anywhere. Let's concentrate on our state cards. We will spend 2 of them and wipe out the California support. We will add 2 to Montana, 1 purple and 1 gold, and that gives us the Montana card. Boom, we'll put that off in the side. This one gives us 2 buttons, which is good. We can use some more buttons here. Let's not concede Georgia. We're gonna take 1 support away from Georgia and add 1 in for us. And then let's give last 2 support here to Ohio. That gives us a total of 8, and we are just 1 cube of support away from getting the Ohio card as well. So making some progress here. We are also not done yet because we can play a state card. So we're going to play the Illinois card, which is add 6 in the Midwest region, no more than 2 per state. Perfect. Let's add 1 to Ohio, which gives us the Ohio card. Excellent. And we have 5 more. We'll keep that off to the side. We have 5 more to spend. Let's eradicate support Michigan, Iowa, and we're going to concede Missouri here. So that's 3. And let's add 1 in Michigan, 1 in Wisconsin, and 1 more in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. So that gives us a total of 6. And we will discard the Illinois card because we've played it now, and we will add the Ohio card to our arsenal. We've now got 7 cards here, which is pretty good. Just looking to try to pick up Georgia and California. Let's see what the Autobot has in store. Early, Southern hospitality. The stereotype of warm and generous Southern hostess is rooted in racist and classist ideas, which were at odds with the realities of political citizenship. Place 1 opposition cube in each of Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee. Ugh, okay, that's the area we're fighting for. Let's take care of it. So I will add these in right now, and then we'll take a look at what it looks like. All right, this is what it looks like now. Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee with anti-suffrage support, and Georgia now goes back to neutral. All All right, Southern Hospitality is in play. Now it is our turn. I think we're in pretty good shape now because we've been lucky and the Civil War hasn't triggered yet. So let's take a look at this Reconstruction card. So Reconstruction, the constraints are playable if the Civil War is not in effect and the 15th Amendment is in effect. We just put that one in effect. Add 1 support cube in each of Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. Boom! So let's do this. Reconstruction was a temporary period of integrating freed slaves into Southern society through educational and political opportunities. So in this alternate reality, the Civil War may not trigger, which is good. So we will play the Reconstruction card here and add these to the states. Okay. So I'll add these and we'll take a look and see what it looks like. There we go. We've knocked off a lot of the support. North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi have gone to neutral, as well as Florida. We've now got half of the support we need in Louisiana and Arkansas. Texas is overpowered at 5. Georgia turns a little bit for us. That Reconstruction card is really powerful for helping to clean up the South down here too. So that puts us in a good spot, I think. Let's go now to the opposition. Almost forgot, we can play one of our state cards too. Let's play Utah. Add 6 support in the West region, no more than 2 per state. So we are going to continue contending for California, and we can add 4 more cubes. Let's spread these out. Let's go Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Nevada. So starting to get a sweeping control over the western states here. So that takes care of that state card. Now we go to the Upperbutt's turn. See what we've got. Horace Greeley. An erstwhile woman suffrage supporter, Greeley and other abolitionists supported the 15th Amendment, angering suffragists like Anthony and Stanton. Placed 2 opposition cubes in each of New York and Connecticut. Okay, that's not too bad. All right, so New York loses all of its support. Connecticut loses its 1 and actually gets some anti-suffrage support. So New England's going to take a little bit more love here. Although it is largely pro-suffrage, we do have a Connecticut pocket against it, and New York now has shifted to neutral. So we have 2 cards left to play in this turn. Let's go for A Vindication of the Rights of Women, written by Mary Wollstonecraft in 1792. The influential book argued women are not property nor ornaments and deserve the same rights as men. This is one of the cards that gets us deeper into the deck too. Draw 2 cards from your draw deck, discard 1, and play the other card for its event immediately. So let's see what we've got here. So both of these are early cards. Actually, they're exactly the same. Lucy Stone or Anna Dickinson receive a button and add 1 support in 1 state of each region. Okay, so we'll discard Anna Dickinson and we will play Lucy Stone. First an abolitionist, Stone became a suffragist who supported extending voting rights to black men. The issue divided the movement for decades. We will receive a button, giving us 2 buttons. That's good. And we're going to go add 1 support in each state of each region. Sorry, that's add 1 support in 1 state of each region, not each state of each. All right, so let's add these 6 support. Of course, we want to add 1 to California. We're still fighting for that. In the plains, let's start going for Wyoming. We will concede South Dakota for the moment. Down south, absolutely, Georgia. We are halfway there. We're not going to give up fighting for that card. Let's get some rural support in Iowa here. Let's eradicate anti-suffrage support in North Carolina, and let's get rid of that anti-suffrage support in Connecticut. That gives us our 6 tokens here. Now we're not quite done yet, right? Because we can play a state card, and let's do that. We're going to play Montana, which gives us 2 buttons. That gives us 4, which gets us to the number that we want to be able to bid next time. So we've played that state. We've got still Ohio in our arsenal, and we're still fighting for California and Georgia. Applebot's turn. All right, let's see what the Applebot's got in store. Old Dixie. To recover from a demoralizing defeat, Southerners created an idyllic fiction of antebellum life that Northerners also sold and bought as fact. Add 1 anti-suffrage support in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. Georgia, we are what a battleground that's been. So let's go take a look at what happens after this. All right, so it adds 1 to Louisiana. Get rid of our support there. We add 1 to Mississippi, Alabama. Georgia loses its support, and Florida. So once again, the South shifts towards anti-suffrage, and Georgia's still an epic battleground here. So we have 4 buttons. We've got 2 events. We're going to play one of these 2 cards, neither of which I think is going to be helpful for us to play. We'll probably use them for something else. But let's play Ohio here first. So we're going to draw 2 cards from our draw deck, and we discard 1, and we play the other. Still early cards too, so I think that'll be good because I think next we're going to get right into the middle cards. Let's see what we've got. Francis Willard, add 1 congressional support and receive 2 buttons. That would be helpful for us. Add 2 each in of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. Let me think. I think as we're getting to the middle game, I think this is probably more valuable, but we've only got 4 buttons and we're going to bid them all. I kind of want to make sure we have a reserve of buttons. So let's play this one. Francis Willard, add 1 congressional support and receive 2 buttons. We'll discard this one. So congressional support goes up to 3. We're halfway there. And buttons are us. We've got 6 buttons now. Now let's determine which card we're going to play. So we have a choice to make with which card we want to play here. The Union Victory card wipes out the Civil War. If the Civil War comes into effect, it lasts for the rest of the turn. So there's a chance, because there's not many early cards left, it might not even be in the game, there's a chance the Applebot draws it right now, in which case this card we won't use. But if it draws at the beginning of the next turn, we might want to keep this one. And I'm not sure we're going to be doing so much campaigning for a while, and I don't want to hold this one for a long time. So I think we're going to be a little bit safe. We're going to keep Union Victory, and we are going to play Property Rights for Women as a campaigning card. And the reason I want to do the campaigning card is I think if we get a little bit lucky, we can get Georgia and California, the last 2 states. So we're going to roll 2 dice here, 1 for each of our campaigners, and I think we're going to use buttons to move them. So let's see what we get. We're hoping for, if we get a 3, we'll move 1 to Georgia and pick up Georgia, and then we only need a 1 for California. So hoping for at least a 3 or 4 on one of these 2 dice. 2 3s, excellent, that's good. So with that in mind, let us spend 1 button to move. We're going to assign 3 to each, 3 purple and 3 gold. So to our yellow one, let's spend our 1 button to move our gold campaigner to the southern region. Then we can add 3 gold to Georgia, which gives us the Georgia card. Excellent. And let's not mess around with California either. Let's spend, the question is, do we want to risk that we can get 1 in California? We've already got 3 support in California. Let's save, let's save our button and let's spend some purple cubes. 1 in Connecticut, excuse me, 1 in New York, and 1 in, let's go to New Jersey here. So we'll kind of spread the purple around. Okay, so that's good. We'll take a risk that we can get California in the next turn. I think we're going to be okay out there. That gives us the Georgia card, meaning we've gotten 8 of the 9 cards, doing pretty well there. Now, if the pro-suffrage gods are being kind to us, this would be the perfect time to draw the Civil War card because it's in effect for the rest of the turn, and this is the last card on the turn. So let's see if the anti-suffrage movement gets a little bit unlucky here. Oh, that is so sweet. Excellent. Play it if it... Oh, wait. Sorry. I wasn't familiar with this. Play if it is round 1, 2, or 3 of the current turn. Remove 1 block of support from Congress. For the remainder of the turn, the suffragist player may not add gold to any state in the Atlantic or South regions. So because this isn't that, then we play it for... It's not round 1, 2, or 3 of the current turn. We instead use it for campaigning. So let's roll to see which region our opposition goes to. We don't want them out here. We want to get them out of this region because they'll go for California. Let's have them go someplace else. Region 2, the Plains. Okay, that's not too bad. And there are no states left in play, so we will randomly determine which state the support goes into. So we'll roll the 8-sided die. 2 is Wyoming, which is good because we've already got 1 support there. Then we roll the 12-sided die to determine how much. Let's get a 1. 2, that's not bad. Okay, so it wipes out the pro support and adds an anti-support. All in all, not too damaging, and the Civil War is out of action. It did not occur in this alternate reality. Originally, I thought we could get 2 turns into this episode, but that was a long turn because we had so many state cards to play and the strategy card as well. As we get further into the game, that'll be less, that won't happen as often. So I think with that in mind, we will take a break here and kind of come back to this in turn 3 in the next episode. All in all, I'm pretty happy with that. To get 8 of the 9 cards, state cards, and have California still in play, looking like we'll be able to pick that one up. I feel like that's a pretty strong position. The Civil War didn't hurt us so badly. We're looking pretty good down here in the South, which I've found is usually a tough place to get. Appalachia and Atlantic, a little bit tricky, but Midwest looking good, Northeast looking good, the West looking good, Plain States, we'll have to work on that in the next turn. And congressional support is up to 3 of 6 50% of the way there. So making some pretty good progress, I think, for turn 2. This is probably the strongest position I've had in playing this game so far. Let me know your thoughts. We'll be back for turn 3 in our next episode. I'll put a link to it as soon as it's ready. Thanks, everybody. Bye.